Let's talk Pluribus on Apple TV, episode 2. So, episode 1 was crazy, left us with a nice little cliffhanger, and we moved into episode 2. So, episode 2, we're going to just go into a little synopsis. It was another crazy episode. I can't believe how fast this show is just like got me hooked in. Like, I'm ready to binge watch it, and I'm ready for the next episode already. So I'm just going to let you know, we're going to go over a little synopsis. So we open up with a kind of like a cleanup scene, and it's from the infected or whoever, whatever you want to call their perspective. So we can see that we have a woman who is basically communicating with all the other members, telepathically. Telepathically. So basically, for whatever reason, they can communicate like we learned in the first episode, and there's no talking. So it's just, we see her start pulling out a person from under a car, someone pulls up, starts helping her out, no problem. Guy comes up on a bike, drops off, so now you got two men to carry the bodies, whatever, and she hops on the bike, she gets rides all the way to the airport, and she goes and gets on a plane, and the people came off the plane with a couple vehicles and everything, and she has all the skills and all the knowledge to fly the plane by herself. And at first I was thinking, this is so like inefficient. Why are we just having people fly all over the place and jump in and out of places? But at the same time, it was very, very let's just say it seemed also very efficient. Like, they could time everything almost down to the second. So like, she got there as soon as the plane got there and was able to leave basically immediately. And because she got there, it's almost like everyone has their next job or thing that they're supposed to do for society lined up in their mind or in their communication, the way the network works and everything. So then we jump forward 11 hours. We see Carol wake up next to Helen, and she's just kind of like, okay, I'm going to basically, bury her body. I'm gonna get into this. And we go back to the woman that, had flown across the entire world basically, and she's taking a shower, and you can see some women prepping, a wig and her clothing and everything, which was also one of those like efficiency type things. Like, if things are being able to get done for you while you're doing other things, and we didn't have to pay money for everything, it kind of like makes you think like, what could our society really accomplish if we, just all work together in harmony in some way without having, any desire, any sort of greed in the world. Basically, everyone just worked for the betterment of all society. It just seemed like that would be very efficient in ways, and you could have people do, tasks like prep a wig for someone, or have your clothes get ironed, or have someone, clean the shower and put new rags and everything in it. Those things could just flow naturally and without a desire for, financial gain, and everyone just working in, unison with each other. Then everyone could have a better life, because the tasks that, we may deem, something we don't want to do, like maybe washing clothes, could be tasked out to someone else, and they could still have a comfortable standard of living. It's one thing to think about, but I don't know if the show is trying to portray that, but at the same time, it is kind of something that I am noticing with the show. Anyways, so the woman shows up at Carol's house, and Carol is just kind of like, why the hell are you here? And she's just freaking out over her. And basically, Carol's just very, very rude. She just seems like she just is upset. And I get that she's upset that Helen's gone, and I get she's like confused. I think it's very unsettling to her that, every time she talks to these people, either they're always in unison or they're always speaking in the plural we. So it's never like you're just talking to yourself. And we see, she recognizes the look, and she's like, oh, you look like my character Raban, why? And then you find out her secret is that, her character was always meant to be a woman and be lesbian, but she was never open about it. But now basically everyone in the world knows because, they have Helen's memories. Anyways, she freaks out over the woman and basically causes, a mass, triggering of the, whatever you want to call it, the convulsions, you know. Anyways, so, she asked her how many people got hurt and everything, and the woman was like, doesn't really say anything, just kind of like, this isn't what you should be focused on. And, it is what it is. They help her bury Helen, and then it's a lot going on. A lot going on. It's kind of, I don't want to ramble too much about everything. So let's get to the point. Helen realizes that there are 5 other English speakers in the world. She is told this, and then she sets up a meeting. So her idea is, we're going to have this meeting. I'm going to get these people together, and we're going to figure out how to solve this problem. And this was one of the things I wanted to know how it was going to go, because I was just like, yeah, like if the world just changed like this, I would definitely want to at least, but she was doing I would definitely want to get the people together. She only wanted to get the English speakers together. I would have got everyone together if it was me, but to each their own. And then we see why she only got the English speakers together. And it's it just really amplified that whole American, only speaking one language and not having any care for how people that they can't communicate with are affected in life, or even like they don't even exist. It's kind of like that, that very selfish nature that we have here in America, where the rest of the world basically doesn't matter to us. So if you can't speak English, it's like, do you even really exist to us? And it's very prevalent here. Anyways, so, they're sitting there and she's trying to say, hey, let me go back a little bit. So we meet all of them, and then they say, hey, there's the last person. He decided that he needed a specific plane. And immediately I figured out what it was going to be. And yes, he popped up on Air Force One. Kumba popped up on Air Force One and basically had his whole harem. It was like, this man is living the best life you can imagine. And what was very telling was when Carol got there with everyone, you could see everyone interacting. And then she asked them, who are these people? And they're like, hey, we're the family members. And so everyone's basically been treating their family members just like normal people. They're conversing with them, talking with them. It's almost like nothing's changed other than the fact that they're all tied together with the joining. So Carol gets them all separate, say, hey, we got to talk about our son. We got to fix this. They're like, why do we need to fix this? And then Kumba basically lays it out for her. He's like, look, no one's being murdered or robbed. Is like, for the first time ever, our skin color doesn't matter. And basically, everything is pretty much perfect. We got peace on earth. The zoos are empty. The zoo's empty. No one's in jail and no one's being, assaulted or anything. Everything is perfect. Like, what could go wrong? And Carol's like, well, I've seen this and we got to do it my way. Very, very selfish. And then, everyone else, Kosamaya is like, I want to, join them so that I could be part of it. I want to be with my aunt. I want to be with my cousin. And Carol's basically like, no, you don't want to. And Lakshmi is like, why are you trying to speak for her if she's old enough to know what she wants, basically? And then Carol tries to be like, oh, you don't really know, they're lying to you. And the reality is, every one of them has asked the group, what does it feel like to understand, except Carol. Carol's very, closed off. She doesn't want to open up to anyone. And everyone else is more like, this might not be the ideal thing, but from what we're hearing from the people that have joined, it's perfection and harmony. So we're excited for that. And it's just very interesting that they had this view and that they didn't want to change anything. And so I think that was really the turning point for me, where it opened my eyes to the idea that, oh, maybe things don't need to be fixed. Maybe things can be like this because it's beneficial to society. And, a lot of people get involved and they're like, hey, this is a good thing, and they experience it and they're like, we don't want to go back to the old way, so we don't want to have that solution, basically. You can see Carol's very frustrated by this though, because she's trying to break everyone out of their you know happiness and excitement for this. Like, you see her try to get Lakshmi to see that her son is not really her son anymore by asking him about pap smears and, female anatomy type stuff, so that it's more like, see, he's not really your son. He's like your doctor and your gynecologist and your ex-boyfriend and all these other people. That's not him. And I think it's just very selfish of her to try to turn people away from something that might be what they're fine with. Like Cosmaya was like, I would be fine with sharing everything that I am with other people, so that the world can see the type of person I am. And I think that's an interesting way of looking at it. And I think that if I was to also be put in that predicament, I might be inclined, but I think I would end up somewhat like Kumba, like, hey, I like having the freedom. And that's what he's saying. He just seems to be enjoying this all. He's like, I'm going to go to Vegas. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do that. And, they find out that, Carol is one of the people that she's the person that set off the last incident. And Carol pushes the envelope like, hey, how many people died and you're joining? And they basically, beat around the bush for a little bit, because, they're trying to explain it to her. But it was almost 900 million people died. So almost 1 billion people died from the original joining, which is unfortunate. But then, Lakshmi puts it in perspective. She's like, your outburst killed 11 million people. And which, of course, set, Carol off, because she only thought it was maybe hundreds or thousands. And, it turned out to be millions. And then, she gets real drunk because she doesn't know how to handle, the fact that she is responsible for the death of 11 million people. She goes storming off, ends up tripping and falling, and then they come to help her because they're just good people, essentially. And because of this, she freaks out because she's drunk and causes another triggering, essentially. And we're to assume that, similar numbers of people have died. So we're probably going to say that Carol's death toll is probably around 20 million right now. And, she passes out, and then we skip about 2 days forward, and she wakes up and she says, how did I ruin it with all the other humans that are alive still, or whatever, the last remaining? And they're like, everyone left except one, and the last one that left was still Kumba, with his Air Force One and all his women and everything. And the reason he stayed was because he wanted Zosha to come with him. If you didn't notice, all this time, Carol hasn't treated any of these people like they're people. If you remember in the first episode, the president, or the guy speaking to her on the television, gave out his name to her, and everyone that was family members gave out their names to her. So she had completely just disregarded these people and, who they are, because she didn't like the way that they presented themselves. And so you find out that Kumba talks to them and he gets to know them on a personal level, because even though they have the hive mind mentality, they still have all their original thoughts and feelings and emotions from whenever they were unjoined. So they still have all those personality traits, other than the fact that they can't choose anything and they can't harm anything anymore. So I think that turns people into being more positive, because it's more like you no longer have aggression inside of you. You no longer have the will to cause harm and to be a horrible person. Like right now, what we're really learning, because everyone is, Carol tried to bring up the idea of losing choice. or what they lost. And really, when you really think about it, all they lost is all the negative traits of humanity. The aggression, the violence, the disgusting aspects. They have peace and harmony and unison and work together and no form of aggression. So even when Carol does things that are rude and disrespectful and harmful, even to them, they don't hold grudges against her for it. They don't get angry because of it. Only the humans that are still unjoined get angry and have those type of emotions, like Lakshmi. She's very angry at Carol, but she also pointed out that Carol was a very angry person as well. So what we're seeing here is a duality in life, and how if you were to remove all the aspects that make humans, violent, aggressive, and evil from society, and you don't give people the choice to make those choices, then it kind of makes for like a utopian society in a way. And I don't see why people would really oppose that. Like, you still would have individuality even without having the ability to be evil. You see, like, you would just be good people and not be evil. And I don't think a lot of people would oppose that. There might be someone that might oppose that because they would want to be evil. But if you want to be evil, you're basically saying you want to be the scum of society. And I don't know why so many people, would take pleasure in that. But we live in a real world where people do take pleasure in that. And I think that this show would speak to the greater idea of, just peaceful interactions with people and working in harmony with other people. Maybe our society could take an example from, whatever we want to call them, the happies or the people, the joined, if we want to take examples from them and just focus on being good people that work together instead of, all the problems that we do have in society. I think that would be something that would be great to learn for us as people. Anyways, they kind of work out the thing, and Zosha is going to go with Kumba to Vegas while he leaves, and Carol kind of gets on the plane by herself, and I think she's kind of realizing that she doesn't want to be alone. It's kind of like, I know she's attracted to Zosha, but she's not open yet to the idea of having a relationship with these people, and she still doesn't trust them because she is living in her own imaginary state. But I do believe that she does not want to be left alone anymore and has a desire to connect with someone since she has lost Helen. And I think because Zosha resembles her character and has all of Helen's memories, I think she feels that maybe she can at least connect with her and make the best of the situation. And as we see at the last moment, she jumps off of the plane and goes and stops, the other plane, and that's where we leave off. So, that's episode 2 of Pluribus. Episodes come out every single Friday. I'm going to be hooked. I'm going to be trying to drop these videos on Saturdays. That way everyone has a chance to watch it on Friday and I don't ruin it for anybody in the first 24 hours. So maybe I'll do Sundays. We'll see. Probably Sundays. We'll do Sundays. Give y'all 2 days, because if you work Friday and you can't watch it, then we'll do that. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.